Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to Tiffany with Purpose, where I provide faith-based content with purpose and inspire you to do the same. I always share according to what the Lord places on my heart, and today we are continuing that series on the book of Ruth to try to understand God's hand and his sovereignty in marriage and how he sometimes puts people together, but it is for the purpose of affecting generations. We are continuing the story. In the last video, we discussed chapter 1, and today we're going to discover God's hand in this situation as well in chapter 2. If you have not read it, go ahead and pause the video, read chapter 2, and join us back when you're done. Okay, you done? All right, let's look at this. We're going to go ahead and read it. Ruth chapter 2. Now Naomi had a relative of her husband, a man of great wealth of the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, now we talked about in the last book how it's emphasized that Ruth is not an Israelite. Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, please let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain, following one in whose eyes I may find favor. And she said to her, go, my daughter. So she left and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the portion of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. Now behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, may the Lord be with you. And they said to him, may the Lord bless you. Then Boaz said to his servant who was in charge of the reapers, whose young woman is this? And the servant in charge of the reapers replied, she is the young Moabite woman who returned with Naomi from the land of Moab. And she said, please let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and has remained from morning until now, and she has been sitting in the house for a little while. Then Boaz said to Ruth, listen carefully, my daughter. Do not go glean in another field. Furthermore, do not go on from this one, but join my young women here. Keep your eyes on the field which they reap and go after them. Indeed, I have ordered the servants not to touch you. When you are thirsty, go to the water jars and drink from what the servants draw. Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, why have I found favor in your sight that you would take notice of me, since I am a foreigner? Boaz replied to her, all that you have done for your mother-in-law after the death of your husband has been fully reported to me, and you left your father and your mother in the land of your birth and came to a people that you did not previously know. May the Lord reward your work, and may your wages be full from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. Then she said, I have found favor in your sight, my Lord, for you have comforted me, and indeed have spoken kindly to your servant, though I am not like one of your female servants. And at mealtime, Boaz said to her, come here, that you may eat of the bread and dip your piece of bread in the vinegar. So she sat beside the reapers, and he served her roasted grain, and she ate and was satisfied and had some left. When she got up to glean, Boaz commanded his servant, saying, let her glean even among the sheaves. Do not insult her. Also, you are to purposely slip out for her some grain from the bundles and leave it, so that she may glean, and do not rebuke her. So she gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. And she picked it up and went to the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. She also took some out and gave Naomi what she had left after she was satisfied. Her mother-in-law then said to her, where did you glean today, and where did you work? May he who took notice of you be blessed. So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked, and said, the name of the man whom I worked with today is Boaz. Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, may he be blessed of the Lord, who has not withdrawn his kindness from the living and from the dead. Again, Naomi said to her, the man is our relative. He is one of our redeemers. Then Ruth the Moabitess said, furthermore, he said to me, you are to stay close to my servants until they have finished all my harvest. And Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, Ruth, it is good, my daughter, that you go out with his young women, so that others do not assault you in another field. So she stayed close by the young women of Boaz, in order to glean until the end of barley harvest and the wheat harvest, and she lived with her mother-in-law. And well, in this chapter, right, Boaz is being revealed as one who also embodies the heart of the Lord, one who walks with the Lord. And again, it is evident because of the words that he speaks. It's not known to Ruth in the beginning that Boaz is a relative of hers. Naomi reveals that at the end of this chapter after she has been with him. But I want to point out, now we talked about this being during the time of Judges, which is to say that culturally, as far as the Israelites are concerned, everybody's not living all the way right. Okay, they not living to the law like they all should be. But here we see that Boaz is a man after God's own heart who does. How do we know? It's actually a law that the Israelites are supposed to allow people to glean from their land. We find that written twice, which means it's important. All right, it's written twice. It's in Leviticus 19, listed under various laws, and it's verses 9 and 10. It says, "Now when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap to the very edges of your land, nor shall you gather the gleanings of your harvest, and you shall not glean your vineyard, nor shall you gather the fallen grapes of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the needy and for the stranger. I am the Lord your God." Leviticus 23, it's listed again under the laws of the holy days. In verse 22, "When you reap the harvest of your land, moreover, you shall not reap to the very edges of your fields, nor gather the gleaning of your harvest. You are to leave them for the needy and the stranger. I am the Lord your God." This was a commandment that the Lord had given already. So Boaz is an upstanding man of the Lord because he follows this rule, but he's even more generous, okay? We see that part of him. Not only does he follow the precepts of the Lord, he's following the commandments of the Lord, but he goes above and beyond that. He has a heart that is so full of generosity. And we can tell that it's not necessarily normal, even though it should be because it's a law of their culture. It's not normal that someone would allow this. We have to see that because Boaz has to tell his servants, hey, don't treat her any kind of way. You need to treat her this way. He's like, moreover, do not go to any other field. Just stay here, right? She finds the favor with Boaz, a man of the Lord. He literally greets his reapers, "May the Lord be with you." And they respond to him, "May the Lord bless you. This is a man who walks in the way of the Lord." And again, we see that by the words that he speaks. Let us listen again to verses 8 through 13, but I'm going to break this into two. "So Boaz said to Ruth, 'Listen carefully, my daughter, do not glean in another field. Furthermore, do not go on from this one, but join my young women here. Keep your eyes on the field which they reap and go after them. Indeed, I have ordered the servants not to touch you. When you are thirsty, go to the water jars and drink from what the servants draw.' Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, 'Why have I found favor in your sight that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?'" She recognizes that this is not anything that she has a right to. "I am a foreigner in this land, and you are doing to me much greater than I even expected." But even her bowing to the ground, you have to realize that this is the presence of the Lord that is in this situation, because when the Spirit of the Lord reveals himself, these are the kinds of reactions that we have. The bowing to the ground, these postures of humility, the weeping without being able to control it. It's just something that overtakes you. And she's realizing in this moment, I don't deserve this whatsoever. Who am I that I would find favor in your sight? Is that not an expression that we might express to the Lord? When I was reading this, the Lord reminded me of Matthew 15. All right, and this is verse 22. "And a Canaanite woman from that region came out and began to cry out, saying, 'Have mercy on me, Lord, son of David. My daughter is severely demon possessed.' But he did not answer her with even a word. And his disciples came up and urged him, saying, 'Send her away, because she keeps shouting at us.' But he answered and said, 'I was only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.' But she came and began to bow down before him, saying, 'Lord, help me.' Yet he answered and said, 'It is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs.' And she said, 'Yes, Lord, but please help, for even the dogs feed on the crumbs that fall from their master's table.' Then Jesus said to her, 'O woman, your faith is great. It shall be done for you as you desire.' And her daughter was healed at once." There was something that the Canaanite woman recognized, that even though it was not her birthright, she recognized that what little she could receive from the Lord was sufficient. Even the smallest little bit of leftovers was sufficient for the healing that she was seeking and all of that. And the Lord saw her faith, that little bit that she knew that she just needed a little bit and where it could come from. But that is what he brought to my mind in this moment, where Ruth is overwhelmed that she is able, like, why have I found favor in your sight that you should take notice of me since I am a foreigner? She recognizes this is not a right that I have, but she's so grateful to receive this blessing. And this is what Boaz replied. And I want you to hear the voice of the Lord in this. All that you have done for your mother-in-law after the death of your husband has been fully reported to me. Imagine this is the voice of the Lord speaking to her. What you've done, the love that you've shown, the compassion that you've shown, it has been fully reported to me. And how you left your father and your mother in the land of your birth and came to a people that you did not previously know. She was doing something that we can refer to as the Abrahamic covenant. When you leave everything you know to follow the Lord, there is a blessing that comes from that. All right. May the Lord reward your work, and may your wages be full from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wing you have come to take refuge. Then she said, I have found favor in your sight, my Lord, for you have comforted me and indeed have spoken kindly to your servant, though I am not like your female servants. Those words, they soothed her because they were from the Spirit of the Lord. Again, how do we know? Well done, my good and faithful servant. It has been fully reported to me all that you have done for your mother-in-law after the death of your husband. All that you have done for your mother-in-law after the death of your husband, that has been fully reported to me. The Lord has recognized her compassionate heart, and how you left your father and mother in the land of your birth to come to a people that you did not previously know. We find that in Genesis chapter 12. Now the Lord said to Abram, this is verses 1-3, go from your country and from your relatives and from your father's house to the land which I will show you. And I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth will be blessed. Ruth did that first part. She left everything she knew. She chose to leave everything she knew for the sake of love. And we will see in the last chapter how that latter part ties in, that I will make you to a great nation, I will bless you. She receives the blessing of leaving everything that she knows to follow the Lord, to commit herself to God. Your God will be my God, and to join this group of people. Matthew 19:29, and everyone who has left houses or brothers or sisters or father or mother or children or farms on account of my name will receive many times as much and will inherit eternal life. She has stepped into the grace and the bountifulness of the blessing of the Lord by laying down her life in this way. Despite her circumstances, she still poured out this compassionate love. So we see Boaz telling them, let her glean, do not insult her, do not bother her, and leave some extra that she can pick up. And she came back with abundance. Ruth left that place with an abundance, way more than she needed. Finds herself in the right place at the right time, because she's just handling her business. I want you to know that Ruth and Boaz are not seeing each other in a way of being together right now. Boaz is being the man of God that he is, and he's stewarding over the things that the Lord has placed in his hands to steward. Ruth is in the right place at the right time. She is walking a life of love, and she's just handling business. She is a widow, living with a widow, and she is young and able to work, and so she finds something that she can do. But they are both doing what they need to be doing in their lives. And it's Naomi that brings it up that this is a relative. He is one of our redeemers, and if we are unaware, a redeemer in this case is referring to the fact that when someone dies in their culture, if a husband dies, then the next relative is supposed to marry that wife to continue on the bloodline if they have no kids. And then the firstborn is to be the child of the deceased, right? They inherit the inheritance of the person that died. That is chapter 2. We'll come back and we will look at chapters 3 and 4 together to again just see where is God's voice, what's God's hand in this situation, and then to understand what the ultimate picture of this marriage union is. All right, you guys read chapters 3 and 4 and then join for the next video. Be great in the strength of the Lord. Until next time.